And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Live Reality Games. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. You can check us out at Live Reality Games. We're also on like Twitter and all that stuff. So wherever you found us, welcome here. And we have a big thing going on. We have Kirk calling right now. He is one of the correspondents for Survival Challenge happening right now. We are covering the cast assessment for Survival Challenge. Here's a little picture of all of us here. Survival Challenge is a multi-day live reality game that takes place in Macomb. They play for some charities. They have some contestants all over the place. And speaking of all over the place, that's where we're all from. So I pretty much handle a lot of things live reality games. Matthew is joining us from, Matt, where are you from?
I live in rural Maine. So I'm actually from where the event began.
How do you know about this survival challenge aspect? What brings you?
Well, I played back in 2015, and next month is going to make 6 years actually since I played, which feels crazy to think about. But since doing it, I work with statistics and work from home helping remotely. So
yes, Matthew is a huge help during this time for me trying to keep on all the graphs and all the numbers and keeping up with the voting and all that stuff. So we haven't quite gotten to voting quite yet, but we will be doing a little bit of voting ourselves here. We are going to be casting pretty much a dream team, and hopefully my team will have the winner on it. But Nicole has already said some threatening things and going to take me down here in this challenge. So we shall see. Speaking of Nicole, welcome here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I've played a few orgs, and I've played a few LRGs. I don't sleep on the ground, even though I grew up in the country. So I like watching other people do it. So I'll stay here in my home like Matthew is and watch them.
Nicole, you're wearing a shirt, Ascendance. What's Ascendance? Yes. What do you do for that?
So I created Ascendance as kind of a merge between Big Brother and Survivor. It is a ever-changing game. So you do have someone win individual safety every round, like in Big Brother, but those people then are required to split everyone else into teams for the round. Then the teams do compete. The losing team or teams have to vote someone out, and then it all starts all over again. So someone else rises to power, new teams, a lot of chaos, a lot of drama, a lot of fun. We just filmed our first live season at the end of June. So I am actually doing a lot of post-production and video editing right now.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're looking forward to it for the episodes, for the interviews, and to see your cast and maybe do a cast assessment too. I am excited myself. So also joining us here tonight is Djon. Djon, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's not too late for me. I'm in Hawaii, so I'm a few hours behind. So it's the middle of my day. It's great.
How do you know about Survival Challenge? I see you have a little thing next to your name here.
Yes, it was like one of my opportunities to be like, I did something. So I did Survival Challenge 2018. It was the first season that was filmed in Macomb, Illinois. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. We got rained on the whole time. But if anything, you learn that once you go through the worst of it, you learn what you're capable of. And since then, I was lucky enough to do Race Across LA with another Survival Challenge alum, Donna, and we actually won. So that was at the end of 2019. So now I guess I just have to do a Big Brother.
Or maybe an Ascendance game here in the future, right?
Maybe. Hey, who
knows?
knows?
Early 2022.
For anybody watching and that wants more information about casting or playing any games like this, you can head over to our group on Facebook, LRG Casting. But in the meantime here, we have divided into teams. And we'll kind of be going for just a random order, a snake draft, if you will. We'll just go down the list and back again. We'll pick a person on our team and then talk a little bit and then move on to the next person. Pretty self-explanatory from there. So I'm going to bring up random.org and we'll throw our names in here, of course, just to keep it fair. Fair.
Random.org does not like me, so I don't think
I don't even know how to use this thing, but everybody uses it. So random.org.
Yeah, you'll just pick randomized list about halfway down.
See, I should have had you do this. So,
I would definitely win then.
Let's see here. So what has everyone thought about the challenge so far? Djon, you said you had pretty much torrential rain pour. I saw a little bit of rain.
I got so excited when I saw it was about to rain. I'm like, they're getting the full experience. They're getting it. But I can't say that last year didn't get the full experience. They had the extreme heat, which is the complete other side of, the spectrum when it comes to weather. Both were just as difficult. I was out there. We were slogging through it. So we felt it. But I don't know, this time they might get the rain. They might get a bit of sun. I don't know what the forecast is. So I guess we'll see.
I loved watching how they were scanning their stuff as they checked in and taking away blankets, and people were a little pouty because they were saying it was going to rain and I need my blankets.
Wow. Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, I was going to say we definitely had people bring blankets. I was one of the people who did not, and I was very thankful when people shared their blanket with me.
And that's where we get a lot from this experience too. Everybody just comes together and helps each other out, which is going to be very interesting in this one world dynamic as we're seeing right now, or at least how it's leading up to. Yeah. Teams haven't been set in stone yet. John's made no announcement of, are these the teams? Are they not the teams yet? So time will tell. So I generated it once. Nicole, pick a number 1 through 5, I guess. How many times to do it?
Oh, my favorite number is always even. So let's just do 2.
Okay, 1 and 2. So our list is Djon, Nicole, Dustyn, and then Matthew. So Djon, congratulations. You get to choose your first contestant.
Oh, I gotta do it. I'm obsessed with this person just from what I've seen in their cast reveal video and just what I've seen out there. I gotta go ahead and I gotta pick my girl Stephanie.
Stephanie, all right. Let's pull up Stephanie. Let's learn a little bit about Stephanie. So we have Stephanie here, 34 from Florida, playing for the girls that look like her, which is super important. She's got some emotional intelligence, experience with some adversity, and then she's really adaptable. So strong pick, Djon. Explain why you went with Stephanie.
I mean, that's a person I can relate to. That's somebody who I look at and I'm like, you remind me of the people in my world. I look at you for comfort. I think she's going to be like the kind of person that takes people under their arm. And then unfortunately, she might do a bit of some sly cutting people off. And how can you not love that? I get very Sari vibes, and she looks like she's come to play.
Brandon is agreeing with you out in the audience watching at home. Yes, Stephanie, great first pick. And for the people watching at home, please let us know what your picks are. And do you agree with us, disagree? We're rooting for everyone, honestly. Like we've been through teams and we are really like rooting for all of them. So anybody know Stephanie out there? Anybody?
Actually, Dustyn knows Stephanie, and one of my prior winners saw I was doing this and let me know that I should draft her. So I guess Scott, I failed you. He's on his way out there to watch and cheer her on. But he said that he believes she's played 4 orgs and won 2 of them. So he's very impressed with her. Dustyn, I don't know if he'll comment more, but I guess Dustyn has played a game with her. Let me read what he said about her because I don't personally know her, but he said,
there you go.
Dustyn played Pandora with her. She's done 4 orgs, 1, 2. Joe on her tribe has watched her season, so he's going to know her. So that is something she'll have to watch out for. But they both won. Joe and her both won that same game. So we'll see. But he's a little worried that maybe she can't lean into the I don't know what I'm doing kind of vibe because Joe will know that she has won a couple games before. So I still have a lot of faith in her. I think she definitely can kind of fit into many different aspects and many different groups. So I still would have drafted her regardless of Joe being out there. But I got second. Thanks, random.org.
Well, speaking of second, Nicole, you are up next. Who would you like on your team?
So I'm a loyal player. So I do only know one person here. I do have to draft Jake Sparks because I've played 2 games with him, and the last game I was HOH and I put him up as a pawn and he ended up going home and I feel really bad. But he is a great person. Its last name is TZ, Sparks, Jake Sparks.
Oh.
And I only say that because I do know that he is in the entertainment industry. So he's such a great person. I actually was on an LRG casting panel with him. We got into a group together and he used to go by Jackpot Jake. And that really is his personality. He used to do kind of casino games and things on cruise ships before COVID. And that really is just his personality. He's just, he can relate to anybody. He can put on a show without you realizing he puts on a show. So if he can get in there and get in with the right people, he really, really can do well in a social game. I am a little bit worried with the behind the scenes we saw. That maybe he's not getting off to the best footing, but I'm going to have faith in him, and Jake's going to pull it out.
Yay. Yeah, I think he mentioned that he wanted to go by Sparks, but hearing that, it makes sense now. Sparks is last name. I was like, okay, maybe Sparks is just, similar to his last name he wanted to go by. Matthew, do you have the same feeling for Jake? You think he's off to a rough start?
It's possible, but the thing for me that caught my eye immediately with him is his creative and talking about his creative side. So I'm actually curious to see him on some of the abstract puzzles. I want to see like how he does with those. It's possible he could shine there, and that might help him.
Absolutely, and we all know Survival Challenge is known for their challenges. Epic game design, like even we saw it in the first challenge, they are through water, they are swimming, they are on boats and running and all that stuff. Just epic challenges and puzzles related. Dustyn is watching. He is one of the production members. He is assisting on staff right now. He'll be joining us later if this call goes late enough to provide a little bit of feedback too. Looks like he says that Jake is definitely a big character, and you can see him standing out in his initial group.
And he's great with puzzles and memory comps. So I think he's going to do well in a lot of, I don't know his physical ability, but hopefully he can win clutch for me.
I'm excited to see his creativity. He might be able to like outthink a challenge or two. Like he makes these games for pretty much a living. So so I'm up next. I'm going to go a similar theme here. You picked one, Jake, and I'm going to pick the other Jake. So reason why I watch live reality games every single lunch break, every single weekend, just to try to keep up with this whole like craziness that's happening. So I watched a season called Survivor Time and Change, and it had this fellow when his face popped up on the cast video today, which you can watch on YouTube from Survival Challenge. I was like, I know this guy. Where do I know him from? Quick spoiler alert, but of course, if you know the ending of a great movie, you're going to watch it again, and that's like any other live reality game. So the ending of this movie here for Jake, he got second place in a college Survivor. It was a great season. He really came off like middle ground and didn't make the moves at the end to really call out. So hopefully this time he learns to maybe make a little bit more moves. He kept saying how goofy he was, how funny. So maybe hopefully he steps up his gameplay a little bit, or just says more about it at the end. Like he can get there, but he just has to phrase it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
He did mention in his behind the scenes that he's played with Caitlin 3, I think, out of the 4 live games he's played, and he's on a tribe with her. But I think he is seeing that could be a positive. So hopefully they can work together a little bit and get him some information.
Which is so interesting. They all commented how bad these previous relationships were, or how people weren't looking forward to them. So I'm wondering if some of them maybe have a little bit of a rocky past, maybe some extra baggage, right, Nicole?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The first thing that stuck out to me is I'm from Indiana. I know where Terre Haute is. So I was like, oh, Kelsey's from Terre Haute. And then Alex said he was from Terre Haute. And like Terre Haute is not a big place. So I'm thinking there are a couple places. There's a couple people like that either came. There's a couple people like Christina's from Philly. Joe was from Philly, but now is in Nashville. I don't know. I was hearing a lot of overlap. I don't know if Dustyn wants to tell me I'm crazy. But I really got a baggage twist, but that's probably just trauma from my past.
I had to throw that in there. I was like, oh, that's a perfectly. Let's see here. Justin says that Jake is getting very well along with his tribe mates right now. Very likable and fun. He might be just an easy ride to merge. And that's kind of what he did in Survivor Time and Change at Ohio State. Like, he pretty much did that middle ground. He was likable, so nobody really like targeted him very much. But at the end, he really needed to make some more moves for people to vote for him at the end.
And that's what I was gonna say. I picked up from his cast reveal video that he's like, I'm just a goofball. You can keep me around, but the goofball is also very easy to let go of. And it's one of those things that you need to play that fine line. Survival challenges are very fast-paced games. You build close connections very quickly, and if you don't get to make that, and you're fifth in the picking order, then you're not going to get to the end. So I'm interested to see how he goes.
Absolutely. Let's see here. And next on our list was Matthew, but I think we scared him away. We probably took all of his picks at first. So Matthew, if you're out there, please come back. It's okay. Kirk is watching from home too. Kirk is one of our on-field correspondents. Him and Sam, she played in another season of Survival Challenge. They are the correspondents. You can check out their live feeds on Facebook if you just search Survival Challenge. So, let's see here. Well, since Matthew seems to have ran away, we'll give him 2 picks when he gets back to make up for this. So we'll just go back in reverse order here. Oh, so it's me. Okay, I get to pick again. Well, look at that little snake right there.
I think Matthew didn't disappear and you booted him.
I know. No, he's not into that or anything. So I sent a message. Well, we have that group chat. So let's see. Let me tag him. Hey, let's see how that works. Anyway, so next on my list, I am going to go hometown connection here. She's from Grand Rapids. I'm from Grand Rapids. I'm going to go with, if I can spell, Morgan. Morgan seemed super nice. Like I said, not just because she's from Grand Rapids and I'm from Grand Rapids, and of course that binds us by law. But she seems super pleasant, even in her little intro confessional at the end that we got from her. She really took her time to like thank production and how much work goes into it. We've all been behind the scenes, so we know how it goes. So that little extra shout out just to connect. We all know production's kind of like the extra player in the game. There's always going to be something there, and it just gets you like good vibes. So luck might be on her side. I see some head nodding. Djon, you liking Morgan?
I think that she's fun. She's very, I see her to be a perceptive player. She's kind of somebody who's ready to meet the mark, but happy to listen. I think that's like a very like important thing as a middle ground player. You want to make a good impression, but you don't want to like take charge from the get-go. That's the vibes I get from her. She seems friendly and bubbly. One of the things I noticed when I played is I was drawn to the people with a great smile on their face. I like good energy, and she definitely gives me that vibe.
I was nodding because of I appreciate that she was thinking production, because now that I've hosted a live game, boy, it's a lot of work.
All right. Next on our list, we'll go back to Nicole. Nicole, who are we looking at? I know this pick came kind of quick, so.
I'm trying to figure out if I should go with my gut or if I should take a risk. So I'm going to kind of go out on a limb. I keep going back and forth on this person, but I have Tiffany down as my next person. What tipped the scales for me was that she's a nurse. I really feel like a lot in games comes down to, can you hear what people are telling you and read between the lines? And that's kind of what nurses do for a living. So I really hope that she can kind of use that. She said, I'm going to have a really good social game. I'm going to be easy to talk to. I believe that because of her skill set. She was a little soft-spoken in her video, so that was what I was kind of hesitating a little bit. But I'm just going to go with my gut and say a nurse is going to make it to merge.
I think, yeah, her first starting video, she was a little bit more quieter. However, we saw her personality come out in her actual live interview when Kirk did a little behind the scenes little intro with everyone. She was super fiery. She's like, I can't like hold back any longer. She wants to be in charge. And she's like, these people are just making mistake after mistake. It's okay that they make mistakes, but I want to step in. So I was super excited. I really like Tiffany as well. That was a great pick.
Yeah, she reminded me a lot of me on day one of Survival Challenge when we had the rewards day. And I was like, I want to do the things. And I know I have to stand back and like let everybody have their moment. But when she started saying that, I was like, yeah, same. I get it.
Before we get to your pick, Djon, I'm going to welcome back to the stage Matthew. Welcome back.
Murphy's Law, rural Maine. Internet goes out.
But also, we are going to welcome our new guest from Macomb, Illinois. Right now, the winner of Reelfoot this season, Dustyn.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for joining us on your super busy schedule. You must be exhausted already.
Sorry I'm late. I forgot about the time change, but I am here.
No worries. So we were just talking about Tiffany. You got to talk with Tiffany.
Yeah. Tiffany seems really great. I think her intro video, she talks about how funny she is, but she has like a very monotone kind of stoic look on her face. But definitely getting some of that fire when you talk to her in person. She's definitely got a spark to her. I think she's kind of a little mysterious, but you can see her making connections in her group already and getting her personality out there. So I'm really excited to see more from her.
Me too. Djon, who are you looking to see more of here?
Oh, I'm excited this person hasn't been selected yet, but this is probably the person that made the biggest impression to me in the initial video, and that's Christina. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
All right, here's Christina, folks. Social worker. Obviously, I typed these up really quick. She's from like Philadelphia, which I can't spell for saving my life. I'm great at word games, but not spelling. Christina, 37 social workers. She's won some orgs. I like how she mentioned that. She wants to use those skills in live games. Djon, do you think that's gonna help her out here?
You know what I do? I think that she came across, like she was in the tribe that I was drawn to the most. And I don't even want to say tribe. We don't know what these divisions are. But she was working with the people that I liked as well. So I was like, I think that the main thing is I noticed that she was listening a lot. And when it comes to a game like Survivor, listening is like the most important thing. So knowing that she's a social worker, she's able to relate to people, she knows when to talk, and she's very present, you know, she's making eye contact with people. That's another big thing that people don't realize, you know, eye contact is making people feel welcomed. I think she's going to be one to look out for.
I also had her top of my list as well, partly because of social worker. I did notice and write down long next to my notes because her intro video was by far longer than anyone else's.
Maybe that's why I liked it.
Persuasion. I think with a social worker that can go one of either way. She can either alienate some people or she can pull them in. So I like to hear that you're seeing her talking and engaging and making that eye contact. Since I didn't get to see that earlier stuff, that makes me feel a lot better about her.
What I noticed about her and what I really liked was that as she was talking, it's almost like she had that analytical, slower speech. Like she was checking her words. She was making sure that what she said, she got the right words out to say what she wanted to say. I like seeing that in people.
Which is really what she said. She's like, if I get to the end, I will persuade everyone to vote for me. And she had the confidence to say that. Dustyn, does that exude in like real life too? It exudes in camera.
Yeah, she definitely is, I think, one of the stronger personalities that I've noticed so far. I think that can work for her or against her early in the game, right? When they were kind of doing their initial challenges, she was definitely one of the stronger voices, the one that was kind of speaking up more and kind of offering ideas, which can be good, but it also makes you stand out, right? I do think she is the oldest female identifying player in the cast, which 37 isn't old by any stretch, but this is a younger cast. So, I think she definitely has the maturity factor going where, and that, again, could work for her or against her. But I really like her. Out of everything that I've seen so far, I've seen her whispering a lot. I see her taking advantage of some of the strategic time that I don't see other people doing this early. I think there's still a lot of confusion and chaos on what's going on. But I definitely have seen her talking to people and taking advantage of every walk with one-on-one and every kind of opportunity to kind of whisper and kind of connect with people on what seems like a strategic level from the outside. So I think she is definitely a player. I'm hoping it's not too hard, too fast, because she has this experience in orgs. Like, could she just play herself a little too hard in the beginning? I don't know. But I love it. Like, I love people that come to play hard right away. So I'm excited to see what she does next.
Mm-hmm. And another person that's excited to see Christina play is Donna. Donna was another contestant, actually brought back for 2 seasons. She played for it, and very recently she did a fantastic job and winning material for sure for Christina. I think like her confidence.
That's for Stephanie there, Dustyn.
You can't read, boo.
What? Oh my gosh, Stephanie. When did we switch to Stephanie? Wait.
This is
she's just catching up.
She's Donna's catching up.
And I'm still catching up. So I'm sure Donna says the same thing for Christina as well. But, for Stephanie, winner material. Yes. Yes.
Dustyn can't read and can't write Philadelphia.
I can't spell. Yeah. I did this real quick, too, a slideshow.
I appreciate it. It's helpful. So, I'm very visual, so seeing the pictures is helping me a lot.
Fantastic. Matthew, we are back to you now.
Okay.
Since, you had that little hiatus for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You do get 2 picks. Okay. So, who would you like your first pick to be?
I don't see him listed yet, so I'm going to make my first pick Joe.
Oh, okay.
We love Joe.
Since I'm familiar with Justin's Pandora game, I know Joe via that. While I didn't play with him, I know he did extremely well with that.
What a horrible picture, Dustyn. What are you doing to Joe here?
Yes, exactly. I'm so sorry for everyone on these pictures. I really tried to screen grab some picture from the intro, and that was just best I got from you, Joe. I'm so sorry. It was multiple attempts, by the way, multiple attempts. Yeah, I wasn't given like stock photos, so I don't know.
But yeah, I think Joe's really self-aware. I feel like in this first day, I mean, he's right in that middle where he needs to. He didn't come out too hard. I don't think he came out too quiet. I think he's right where he needs to be.
I think he came out. I think during some of the lives, he was talking really loud, and the other team was hearing them. And his team kept being, shh, you're talking too loud. Don't say it. So I'm excited I'm wondering if that'll come back to haunt him, I guess, that he can't keep a secret very well.
Okay.
But he's just so likable. How could you vote him out?
All this cast is likable, I think.
I think Joe's in a really interesting spot because I think out of everyone here, he might have the most amount of connections pre-game. So he definitely knows a bunch of people from the Pandora world where he played in my game. He also played Survivor Buffalo, I believe, with Christina, I want to say. So I think he's got some connections to figure out how he's going to leverage those or not. And, if he wants that to be a part of his game or not. I think as we've seen in the org world, he's very likable. People want to work with him. He definitely learned a lot playing the second time of Pandora versus his first, where he got to the end and lost, and the second time he got to the end and won. So he definitely learns from his mistakes, and his big thing during Pandora was going with his gut. So I hope he will go with his gut. I think my biggest fear with Joe is he's going to overthink and freak himself out and kind of get the paranoia will crush him. So I'm hoping he can keep that tempered and, just go with his gut and kind of stay calm and not overplay based on paranoia.
Okay, so Donna does chime in on Joe this time. I read the message. Joe is an awesome guy. I'm curious where the grandpa Joe comes in. Is he just a slower runner, or?
There was an online game that was put together by a fun group of friends, and everybody got characters. And I may be behind. It might have been something that was initiated from something else beforehand, but that's how I know him. I saw him as this character, Grandpa Joe. And I believe it stuck from that. It could be something prior to that.
I love that.
Hashtag Grandpa Joe. Moving on with the list, we have circled back. We have 2 picks on each of our teams besides Matthew. So Matthew, who's joining Grandpa Joe?
Okay, let's see. And there's a bunch of good choices too. I'm going to go with Katie.
No!
Oh, did I take yours?
Oh, no. She was literally my next one.
Your next pick.
Joe was my next one, so I'll yell at
I think she was mine too. Looking at
she's, as it says on there, she's a therapist. I feel like she keeps talking about finding her people and working with her people, and I really think she's got a good social sense about her.
I like that she said that not only does she not overestimate herself, but she doesn't underestimate other people. So I feel like hopefully she's going in with a realistic vision of what's going on instead of, oh, I'll win this, or, oh, I've got these people. I think she's going to be working nonstop because she's not going to think she's in a safe spot ever.
And that's
she's actually, I was just going to say, she's been my favorite to watch in real time. She's like running into bushes, poking at trees. She's just everywhere. And it's been so fun to watch because I'm like, what's she going to do next?
I am a little biased because I do know Katie outside of even Survivor World. We have been connected for a long time, and her and her husband are really into Survivor, and so she's kind of a friend outside, and she is just such a badass. I think, all of you wanting to have her on your team is 100% the right move. She is such a thinker. She was messaging me on her way here about how she, has thoughts about kind of making sure people don't know that her husband is there and watching, and like maybe coming up with a different last name so people won't connect her. Like, she really thinks everything through. She's extremely strategic. She does really well building relationships.
Wait, who's her husband?
So her husband, his name is, I don't know if I should say it. Her husband will be here supporting her.
Okay.
And he's also awesome, and has played Pandora a bunch.
Gotcha.
And Katie's she's amazing. I think as long as people don't take kind of this badass thing that she puts out there as a threat, I think she has a threat level to her that people, I think, will identify pretty easily. So I'm hoping she can find a way to manage that, because she is awesome and she will make this game so exciting. And I think she'll be one of those, like a Sam Lechner or a Gracie from my season, just someone that's going to come in and like bust shit up and like want to play hard. I just hope she can kind of keep that under wraps for a little bit, but she's already coming out. She's already kind of, playing up the kind of being from Boston, kind of being an asshole kind of vibe. And I love it. I just hope it's the right thing for her to do to stay in the game.
All right, so that concludes our 2 picks for each. So back to our order here. Djon, what are you looking at? Who are you looking for?
I am going to go with somebody who just, how can you not want to pick them? I'm going to pick Pat. I love Pat.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, he just, like, from his first video, he was very present. He was, just talked about how much of a fan of Survivor he is, so much so that he went to the location on his honeymoon. And he's just been somebody who's like just been very easy to connect with people from what I've seen. I mean, I've only seen such a small amount of stuff, but he, like you said, Alliance already, he's on it. I've seen him talking to a lot of people, and I really would like to see him do well.
I think he is the oldest contestant
He's the oldest.
Yeah. And he knows it too.
Yeah.
But just barely. I think some other people are just 38 too. So it's not a big difference between, I don't think, 38 and 40 in many ways. Nicole, do you think age plays a factor in these games?
It definitely does. However, this cast is, I'm going to call them age diverse. I mean, you do have a 20-year-old, but I'm seeing a lot of 30-year-olds. In Totem Pole, it really did disadvantage me, but I was over 10 to 12 years older than the next oldest person. Everyone was 26 and under. There were a lot of college students. So I think it can be a factor, but also I think it's going to be less of a factor in this position where, I mean, you're building a shelter, you're braving the elements. There's a lot more that can bond you. You don't have to talk about TikTok to fit in, I'm sure, as much as you do in a house.
Yeah, I absolutely feel like he's going to jive, especially with the people that he has in his group. I was glad he kind of ended up with the people that he did, because it felt like he was kind of working his way in, and he definitely doesn't appear to be older than everybody. If you kind of see him working within the group, like he's got a young vibe about him, a good kind of passionate energy. I don't know him at all, but he was one of the people from his videos that really intrigued me. And I think a lot of this cast is really likable. So I'm hoping he's one of those guys that has a little bit of that kind of cutthroat edge to him as well. And because he's so passionate about the game, hopefully he will, be a little bit more than just kind of a smiling, pretty face and a nice guy. I want to make sure he's got a little bit of that ruthlessness to him.
Well, I wrote down that he mentioned he wanted to turn it on later in the game. So if he can get to a certain point, he might just do that.
Yeah.
Is it going to be too much, though? Like, these people that really want to play Survivor, Backstab, Blindside, could be just too much.
I'm not seeing it just yet, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
And we'll be following along with the streaming and everything, all the live videos that they are offering us, which is amazing. All the behind-the-scenes stuff from the production, including Dustyn and your feedback here today. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Who is next on our list?
I think it's me.
Yes.
So I've been literally spending the whole last discussion trying to decide, because my next two picks back-to-back were taken. So I do want to shout out Morgan, though, because my notes to her was she's good at making people think they're in control, and that's my gameplay, and I really like that. I'm sad she's not available to pick, but so if she wins, I get honorary trophy. I think I'm going to go with I'm just going to go with Megan. She says she's underestimated because she's small, and I can relate to that. She says she's athletic, and she also says she's a strategist. So if she can pair that with a little bit of social skill, I think it's the key elements to get her deep into Merge. I really feel like if she plays the way she says she plays, she can get that depth of 5 to 8, that threat spot. But I'm hoping she can pull out a win.
She just in the picture that we got on the bottom from her one-on-one interview, she's got some muscles that looks like she could tackle me. I'm pretty sure anybody could tackle me, honestly. But she says she's really athletic, and just by her appearance and her biceps there, I think those are the biceps. Yes, very athletic, I would say.
Is anybody else getting Denise Stapley vibes?
Yes,
a little bit.
in that picture, 100%.
Yeah.
Hopefully she has better luck than Denise, though.
I mean, Denise won her first season.
That's true.
Can't get much better luck than that.
Megan is actually on my softball team back in Boston. So I encouraged her to apply. She actually kind of fell in love with Survivor over the pandemic. She has played Pandora, but she played in the earlier seasons. She has played with Joe, which is an interesting dynamic, but they're not in the same group right now. So we'll see if that comes into play later. She's definitely acquired her personality. She's definitely, when you saw in her video, or at least her initial video, kind of obvious she was probably reading from a script or something. She's very nervous on video, but when you get her in person, she's so sweet. She's so funny. She's so good, like kind of in a casual conversation. But I think just being on camera makes her freak out a little bit. But she's so awesome. So I'm hoping, her being a little bit on the quieter side doesn't lead to kind of not being able to make those social connections. She's definitely athletic. I think she'll be a good, a good player in the challenges. So I hope her team sees that within her. I don't think she'll come off as a huge threat. I think she will be underestimated. I hope she uses that to her advantage.
I did notice that the crew was saying that she was nervous more about the talking to camera stuff, but when she was working with her tribe, she was right there making a really good impression. So I was glad to hear that.
So my pick here, I'm looking at who we have left here. I'm going to go based on what I saw in the chat earlier. I think this person has a lot of people cheering for them. Maybe I'm not connected with this person as much as they are, but I am going to choose Holly to be on my team. So she was really a bubbly, very nice personality, which is awesome. She has played before. She says that she really wants to play hard, and that's what I really like in appreciating players as well. Somebody that just doesn't sit to the side, but makes moves and is not afraid to make them. And that's what she said in her video that we had for about a minute. So she is very passionate, and I really like to see passionate people play, especially in these live games. Some of the colleges, some people are just there for the credit or whatnot, but some people are actually there to play, and I'm really looking to see how far she'll play.
Holly was one of the only people I recognized. I mean, I know Jake, but I obviously recognized Holly from Sequester. I think other people will recognize Holly from Sequester. I'm not even a huge follower of the group, but if there's anyone out there connected, I'm afraid that will get out. I also heard in somebody's interview with the camera, somebody mentioned that people were already kind of throwing around that she knew people. So it didn't sound like people were being quiet about it. So I am a little bit worried about that for her. But I do know that she is social. So if she can get an inroad in there, I think that she can get deep in the game. It's just if people are going to give her that chance.
Well, I wrote down that one of the interviews, I think it was the last one she did, someone had already called her out and she wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, that's what I said. Played before and I've been called out. But she said, I'm doing a lot already, more than I thought I would be doing.
No.
Which is never, that's never a good feeling. But if you've been called out, you probably do kind of start scrambling.
Yeah, you can definitely feel her energy in her group. She's definitely one of the bigger personalities that's coming out early on. I saw her play Sequester. I think it was season 1 though, so that was when the video wasn't quite as good. So I don't know that I got a good grasp on who she really is, but she definitely seems like a standout personality in that group. So I'm interested to see her play. I think I liked kind of the idea that she wants to be underestimated as kind of a dumb blonde, and there's definitely a lot more to her than that. So I'm interested to see more from her and see how she can, I don't know what other game she's played, but how she could bring that Sequester mentality to Survival Challenge.
Or how that even relates, Survival Challenge, you're outside, you're not in this wonderful mansion with beds and food.
But I do think the speed, right? We all know Survival Challenge is fast, right? It moves fast, and Sequester moves very fast, right? So I know she played the live game. I'm not sure if she played any of the minis, but Sequester is a fast game, and so I think that could be to her advantage that she's used to very fast strategy. I
was gonna say I already saw that Sam and Hannah, when they were doing their live feed, already mentioned that there was a rope directing people to either where a box or a clue was. And as soon as Holly walked by it, she yanked the rope and chucked it in her pocket. Whether she knew that it was something to look out for or not, she had that information and nobody else did. So it's one of those things that she's already you see something, you grab it, whether it's because you think it's got to do with what you're doing, or you might need it later on. That's something to keep an eye out on.
Someone in the audience has a suggestion for the next pick. Hashtag Team Mod Dog. I'm not quite sure who that may be referring to, but
wasn't that Morgan?
Yeah, they misspelled because they retyped later Team Mad Dog, but I still don't know who that is.
There we a Mad Dog. Okay.
Oh,
I still don't know who it is, but
So-
Morgan
maybe
would
Madison.
Oh, could be Madison.
something with an
Ooh.
Oh, that makes sense.
So who oops, little scroll there. Let's see here. So we're back to Matthew.
Well, you know what? I think I will pick Madison, actually.
Oh, there we
I think I
go.
will. Because,
And that's how
for
it's
me, it's one of those, I didn't get a really solid read on her, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because she could pull stuff out that, if other people are the bigger personalities and stuff, sometimes being the personality that's not necessarily standing out right away, it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's really well spoken. She didn't say a lot, but she had a good flow to her, and she's an HR director, so she knows how to deal with bullshit, I'm sure. So
Right.
she can fake it.
Mhm.
And as an HR person too, you can tell people's attitude right off the bat. Like that's what your job is for, to get people's personalities out there. So she's going to be able to read people a lot.
And she's so young, which is interesting because I just don't see her having the same young energy that you have from of these other, early 20-year-olds. She definitely seems a little bit more mature, a little bit more reserved. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a hindrance to her, if she's going to kind of stick out as being a little bit quieter, or if she's going to kind of sneak on through and no one's going to see her coming, right? So when she came, I kind of walked them all up to their confessionals, and I definitely saw her come alive a little bit and kind of introduced herself to everybody on production. And I saw a little spark there. I was like, ooh, there's something to this girl that she's not showing just yet. And I'm curious to see kind of if and when that'll come out.
Yeah. I think for me, she was direct, but she wasn't aggressive. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to know more about her. I was very intrigued. So hopefully she can woo over the rest of the cast in the same way.
Right.
If John is looking for devices how to split these teams later, that you can just check back in with this cast assessment and we can just go for teams right there. So that'd be a twist, right?
Yeah.
You guys are going to be really excited about the tribe divisions. Don't worry.
Ooh.
Hey.
Little teaser.
Big hints.
All right, let's see here. Matthew, sneaking back around. What would you like for your
Me
next pick?
again. You know what? I'm going to take Alex as my next pick.
Alex.
Alex has that humor factor. I loved his video. I loved his confessionals. He's definitely got that going. I mean, when he was talking about the thing with the, I was thinking Kat's comment, basically like if I don't make merge, then who's going to want to date me? That kind of thing. With what he was saying was similar in tone, but there was someone said on the feed, someone from production, that he had played in a game with fire tokens involved, and I don't remember if they said he won or if he did really well, but
He won, I think they said.
Okay, so yeah, so he's got a background then with us, so he could do quite well.
So he's a Hoosier. I don't know how him and Kelsey both are on there because, like I said, Terre Haute's very small. But I love that production said he wanted to join the community. He's like an hour and a half from me, so if I have a meetup, I'll throw him an invite out there. But I loved his attitude. I was full on board Alex until he walked up to the camera and said, I think I'm in an alliance, but I don't know. And you gotta know. I mean, so I don't know if he's doubting himself or if he's getting strung along. I was a little bit worried for Alex when I heard that. However, I do think he has a humor and personality where he's not going to go early. So if he can get a toehold, I really hope he goes deep. I really did like him a lot.
His intro was probably the best. But at the same time, even having such a nice intro, it was obviously that he had it planned out, he had it staged, he had the panel over there, he had the ring, all that ready. And I don't know how he's going to be able to adapt so quickly. It sounds like he's very creative, very logically thinking, and great concept. But I just want to see him on the spot do something quick. So.
I'm really excited about Alex. I think, again, from the videos ahead of time, he was one of the ones that stuck out to me. I loved he had a little bit of humor. He definitely seems like a kind of a goofball, kind of funny personality. I love his Hawaiian shirt. I just like his whole vibe. And the same thing happened to me when I was kind of walking up to his confessional. I was like, you know, I was like, you know, you seem great. I'm like rooting for you. And he was like, I think I'm already in alliance. I was like, all right, buddy, roll with it. So I love him as a character. I hope, you know, he can kind of find his footing and not let the goofball part of him just kind of take over, and not, you know, have him not being seen strategically or as like he's taking the game seriously. So I hope he can kind of marry that personality and that spunk that he has with, you know, people being able to trust him, rely on him, and you know, be a good alliance member.
Let's see here. Circling back now. Oh, it's my turn, I think. Looking at our cast list next. I am going to go with Mandy. Mandy from the initial cast video, it's 30 seconds. No real connection with me. However, her in person, like, she took a moment and then she warmed up. Like, she was very talkative. She was, she says she's an empath. She can connect really well with people. And I think that's what it was. Like, when she was just by herself in her room with her camera talking to it, not the same as if she's in front of 6 other people that are filming her. She is super stoked to play the game, she said. She is a house flipper. So that means she's done some hard work, heavy lifting, that kind of thing. And probably has gone through some frustration and was able to cope with it and get over it and deal with it and flip the house. So from her path in that, she definitely has the mentality, and I like her personality going forward. So Mandy, welcome to my team.
Dustyn, I actually think you're spot on. Like, from the cast assessment, I was like, I don't really know what to make of her. Like, is she kind of gonna just, I don't want to say nothing player, but she just, I didn't get much from her. And then when she was kind of standing in the initial kind of after they checked in, they kind of went and stood kind of by themselves in this field. And I went up to her and introduced myself. And there's just like a light that turns on when she first looks at you and smiles. Like, she's just got a hook that I wasn't expecting in person. So I'm really intrigued now, when I really kind of wasn't feeling it at the beginning. But I think, you know, if she can do that to me when I'm not even in the game, I think she's going to do the same thing to people in the game. So I'm excited to see what comes next.
I think what I noticed out of her behavior is the initial video, it was just kind of like, say anything in 30 seconds. But when she came up to talk to the crew, they gave her a bunch of things to meet, and she met them. She's that type of person. You give her a task, she's going to meet the task. When it's her time to speak, she's going to be on, she's going to be ready. She was already selling to me. And I'm like, I'm on the other side of the country, and I'm already like, maybe I should flip a house. You know, it's like, you know, she's very enticing, and she was very charismatic, and I am intrigued, and I really liked that she was able to catch my attention so quickly.
And I think that's what we're getting from this quick little cast preview too. It's amazing to see how people light up in front of a camera or a little bit more nervous, just to see how they react to that. Nicole.
So I didn't get to see this person talk to the camera, but I'm just going to go with my gut again. There are a lot of teachers in this season. I saw a lot of cities aligning, and I saw a lot of teachers. And from my experience as a host, that is an occupation that really bonds people. So I'm thinking some of the teachers might come out good. So I'm going to go with Benji. Out of the teachers, he's the one that kind of pulled me in the most. He mentioned wit, which is funny for a math teacher to me, and I know that's stereotyping, but he did mention wit, and that's really big with me. And intelligence, I mean, he obviously can think strategically and logically if he understands the math well enough to teach it. But he did come back on the end and say, but I'm social. And so hopefully he can balance that social and strategic. Physical games, not something I'm good at, so I don't weigh that a whole lot.
Benji pops up on my Facebook every once in a while. It's like, friend, you might know. And I'm like, no, I have no idea who this person is, but we have 100, 200 friends in common, or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, finally, I get to know him a little bit. So I'm excited to see him play. But I'm worried about him ready to like backstab people. Like, we all know this is about connections. And, you know, if you go into a game looking to make that backstab, you're just going to get blindsided. By being so focused on trying to get somebody else out, they're going to get you out instead.
Well, And the fact too that he knows Chris and Holly and Caitlin, like, and the fact that he doesn't want to work with at least Chris and Holly. I don't know if he said Caitlin as well, but work against as opposed to with. I don't know how that's going to play out for him.
Well, in his defense, he teaches middle school kids, so he probably has built up a rage.
I'm actually really surprised that it's taken this long for Benji to get picked. I feel like he's very well known from what I can understand, like in the org space. I think he hosts Ecstasy, I want to say, or there's an org out there that he hosts. And he seems very well connected. I saw in here he knows 3 other players. I'm surprised it's not more. I actually am sure more people know of him that he may not know. You can see in the game he is definitely a leader in his group. He's definitely somebody that is taking a more active role in the conversations and being a bigger personality. I love that about him. This is Sam Lechner from the live stream.
Hey, Sam.
At an Airbnb. But Benji definitely stands out to me. I love his energy, but I think you're right. I think like his readiness or his willingness to backstab people and kind of already in the game, I think could hurt him if he kind of goes too hard too fast.
I get a very serious vibe from him, and out there, it's very quick. If you don't get to know somebody very quickly, if you have a wall up, you don't necessarily have time to take it down. That's my only concern with him.
All right, Djon, who are you not concerned with?
Oh no, I don't know that I'm not concerned with this person, but I'm intrigued by this person. And I know I've said that about a few people, but this person kept on telling me in their video that they're charismatic. So I'm going to take their word for it, and I'm going to pick Devin. I just think that... Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I knew I had misspelling on this already. Charisma. There we go, positive outlook. I knew I had to fix that before we got there and try to sneak that in. But, yeah, Djon, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that he's someone else who I've noticed to kind of like take a step back, have a few one-on-one conversations. I did notice him talking to Pat a bit, and I think that that's a duo that I would like to see if there's any potential of that to move forward. I think that their energies kind of balanced off each other. I don't want to make my picking him purely be based off his relationship with Pat, but just the fact that he's already on good terms, seemingly with that type of energy, it makes me think that there's room for him to kind of build on his relationship throughout the game and not be too locked in one way or another. I think he could potentially make his way far.
Devin is the person that evoked the most feelings out of me. Every other statement, I changed how I felt. I'm like, oh, I like him. No. Oh, I like him. No. And I still haven't landed on whether it's, yes, that charisma line was funny because I know he says he's like in the movie theater management. He maybe he was putting it on. If that's seriously who Devin is, I'm worried about him in the game. If Devin was having a go and being funny, I think he'll go far. So I can't. And I didn't get to see his behind the scenes to like get a feeling of the true Devin.
Was Devin the one who was walking off with people individually, like separate from like the entire group of 24? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was the one thing I noticed is when the groups all came together and there was still a lot of confusion around like if they should all be there and what they should be doing, which Survival Challenge loves to kind of throw those scenarios in to see what people do. I saw him like grabbing somebody and kind of walking around the perimeter and kind of taking them on a little journey and chatting with them to multiple people. It's very, very bold to do that, right? And it's very, anything that stands out early in the game could hurt you. I don't think it will. I also see him joking a lot. I think, charisma definitely seems to be a tool in his toolkit. He's making a lot of jokes. He's definitely funny, using that charm. And I think the jokes to kind of, I think he's going to be a really, really social player, but I think it's kind of obvious. Like, I think that it's not a social ability that he can hide. So he's just going to have to be careful about that. Cause I think this is a lot of people, I haven't seen a ton of like that very overt, charismatic social gameplay just yet, and so he's going to stand out in that way. But I think somebody could potentially want to use him as a social shield. That's one of the things that I was looking for when I started Reelfoot, finding someone that I knew was going to make connections and kind of be out in front as my social shield. And that could be Devin. I think, people like Pat might be thinking of him that way. If Pat's having is not as good on the social front, it's good to have Devin kind of right alongside him.
Speaking of being on the side of someone, Djon, next thing.
I get to go again?
Devin. You can go again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it goes like back and forth, right? Yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
I'll take your pick. It's okay.
No, it's okay. I've got
It's
it.
probably going to be your pick anyway. Like, Nicole,
I'm going to pick up that list again. All right. Who have I got? I have... All right. I think the person that next stands out to me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Stu. He's another one of those teacher types that I was in a game with a group of teachers and they kicked me out. I know the power that they have because they can be patient with kids and they can be patient with adults. So I think that he's one to, not to disregard. I definitely think he's going to be playing the game.
Somebody from production was saying after his interview there that he's like the biggest survival challenge fan in this group of 24. And that's a benefit. I mean, if he...
Well, he was best friends.
We lost him.
Yeah, there's that main Wi-Fi again.
They do like to throw like trivia stuff from Survivor, from Survival Challenge, and all that stuff too. So that could benefit him in this as well.
And he's good friends with last year's winner, Anthony Dumont. So I think that's kind of how he came into the game. He obviously watched that season. I think this might be his first live game, but I know he's played some online games a little bit. But I think this is his first. I think the biggest thing with him is he's a little bit of an oddball, which I think we love about him. But I hope he can kind of. I think the advice at the end of the game was like, just don't do anything weird like in the first day of the game, right? Like just don't be too weird and stand out, right? So I think if he can kind of integrate himself socially, I think he'll be fine. And I think actually people will disregard, I don't say disregard him, but underestimate him and kind of not just kind of. I think they'll try to use him as a number, but I don't know that they'll see him as a strategic threat. And I think he can surprise them and kind of be a little sneaky from that regard, hopefully. But he's such a wonderful guy who's so excited to come into the game. And I'm really excited. He's kind of one of those people that I just think is going to be a little bit of a wild card. And I love kind of wild cards in these games where we've seen a bunch of people that have played a bunch of LRGs, are super experienced, or played a bunch of orgs and are well known in the community. I think he's one that's he'll be a little bit on the outside, which I think is really exciting.
I really enjoyed his video. He's someone I would want to hang out with. He seems really fun, and he said, he plays games to make friends, and I really hope that he means that because that's what he needs in this game.
And that's what everybody needs in this game. You need friends to not vote you out. That's the whole purpose, right?
And if he got advice from Anthony, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because I actually had the luxury of being with Anthony's original tribe last season and watching him just socialize and then slowly but surely throughout the game drop off connections to the point that it was really interesting to watch because at the start of the game, I was like, I really like you. I really like what you're doing. But you just very quickly saw that he was like, by the end of it, he was playing for himself. So if Stu's been given any of that kind of advice, it's like, make them all like you to begin with. And then when you get further in the game and you drop them all off, they're going to turn around and say, well, he played the game and I did like him and I fell for it. So something to keep in mind.
All right. Next up, we have Nicole.
So every time I keep hemming and hawing between two people, this is the person that I was putting that person up against every time. So I think I just need to pick them. I'm going to go with Kevin. He's a consultant in tech. I'm a consultant in tech. I'm moving into healthcare again, but I know what it takes to be a consultant. It's a lot of just juggling balls and managing risk and everything goes wrong. I think he's going to be cool under pressure. He talks a lot about strategy. He literally says he has a cool attitude to cover up his brain. So I hope
it was actually a chill ass attitude, Nicole. A chill ass attitude.
Well, I wrote cool, so I must have been editing myself. That's not like me at all. I did really like him. I am a tad bit worried that he's gonna like himself too much, like he's gonna get too big for his britches. But I think he has the skills he needs to create a winning game. Just let's see if he can be savvy enough to put them together.
Yeah, Nicole, you're 100% spot on. From like what I've seen live so far, is super likable. I think he definitely could crush this game, but he does ooze a little bit of that like confidence, right? And so I think that's good, right? When you want to make alliances, you want to make sure you're with people that are confident, they're going to be in the game, they want to be there, they want to play. But like at some point, it's like, all right, buddy, maybe it's a little too strong. But he's someone I gravitated to right away. He just has that energy that you love in these games. His video is hilarious when he said chill ass attitude. We all died. Like he definitely is fun. He's charismatic. I think he's got a lot of personality. It's just what he does with that and how strong that comes off. I think that will be kind of either his silver bullet or his downfall.
He's another one I'm excited to see with puzzles.
Yes.
He says he's got the brain for everything, so.
And he's logical.
Right. Well, I think that with him, if I were playing with him, he'd definitely be someone I'd align with purely to be a shield.
Amen.
He's going to take the brunt of it before I am. And he actually reminds me a lot of Brendan from last season, who I've played in online games with. And I keep around very close purely to be a shield. But he's also loyal. He's also very, very loyal. So if Keiwu is a loyal type of guy, he'd be a great person to have on board. And maybe you can take him to the end, but maybe he'll get cut before you do, and that's also valuable. But I don't know how good that is for him though.
Or me. I hemmed and hawed. I wasn't for sure.
It's true.
Let's see here. So I'm up next, and our numbers are dwindling, but I still have one connection out there that I'm going to root for. This person is James, going by Jamie in this game. Jamie was a contestant. He has played some live reality games in the past, so I'm excited to see them come back and play another one. Jamie, it sounds like, was maybe a last-minute replacement person, so always good to have those casting options. And honestly, it's okay to have one of those spots too. Some people have things come up, so if you do get that slot in a game, take it. It's there for a reason, and it's going to make your story even better when you get to the end. Be like, I wasn't even supposed to be here, so this was really meant to be. Jamie survived by himself on an island that we had in one of our locations at an event that we did. And he was able to persevere by himself. He wasn't by himself. Like, we could see his fire right across the little... It was like a little water. It was an island for technical purposes, but yeah. So Jamie has a lot to do, and like he said, he's outwitted and lasted a lot of things in his life already. So why not make this another one?
I was excited when I wasn't excited for Jamie until I heard him say, I'm not even supposed to be here. And I really get that balls to the wall attitude where he's going to come in and say, hey, I wasn't supposed to have this. I'm going to do it, pedal to the metal, nothing to lose. I really hope that's what we see from him, because those are the funnest people to watch in games. I don't know how far it will take him, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, you could definitely see him come out as one of the stronger personalities in this first kind of opening sequence, especially when they were kind of doing their little mini challenge. He was a big kind of voice in that conversation and really trying to kind of like make it happen for the group. So I think he definitely stands out as a leader among that, at least the early stage of that group. I've heard of him across the org circuit for a really long time. It seems like he's played a lot of games, won a lot of games. I'm curious to see how that translates to a live game, because I don't know him in that scenario, but definitely seems like one of the bigger players. I think he's going to be a big threat. I think people will see him as a standout person. But it sounds like he's got the experience where I think maybe he'll be able to kind of evade himself around that and kind of navigate like a path forward, because he seems really sharp. But definitely one of the bigger personalities I've seen today so far in the game.
I did see when his tribe was at one of the boxes, he like stayed behind to have a look at the box while his team had walked away, and then he was quick to run back and catch up with them. But you know, you can already tell that he's like, take a second for yourself, but remember you're still playing with a group of people.
And there was one point he was trying to get information off of the blue team, and when he couldn't get it from them, he actually started to like follow them for a little bit and then turn around, and they, I don't think, noticed that he was following.
Yeah, he did seem like one of the more kind of strategic members of that whole situation. Like he was really trying to get the information out of the other teams, but didn't really want to give them a lot from his team, right? So like he was trying to navigate that scenario where it's like he wanted his team to kind of win what they thought was some sort of challenge, but at the same time knew that he kind of had to work with other people. It was interesting to watch him in that scenario where he kept kind of saying, guys, we should go do this, and guys, we should do that, and we shouldn't give them info, and we should, you know, not let them get ahead, and we'll trade you info for this. Like he was definitely one of the more vocal members of that whole opening segment.
And being in a giant group of 24 people now, they're not individual camps. So even if you are the leader of your set group, there's going to be another leader to like disagree with you or like be your opposite. Let's see here, Matthew.
Okay. And also, guys, forgive my horrible internet tonight. I did not expect it to do this. But anyway, I'm going to go with Grace as my next pick. Grace is Colin's sister, so I hear. And Colin played in 2019. I believe it was 2019. So, I mean, in that sense, she's got some background through having him play. But for her, I had mixed feelings. I do think she's intelligent. I do think that she's got good potential here. I know there was a point early on they had her tribe had these like little bags, and she was asking the other people like, should we hide these? Should we keep these for ourselves? And she was asking everyone else on the tribe that question. I know that when Jamie had walked down and followed her group, she was out loud saying about not trusting. I'm pretty sure it was her who was saying not trusting their group. So Jamie might have overheard her say that. So that's what makes me a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous about her because both times we saw her tonight, she was talking about wanting to slit throats and like, I may look cute, but I'll cut anybody. And I think she might be a little bit too focused on being a Sandra or being a character instead of like playing her own game. So I'm a little worried that she's going to think she needs to make a big move to have a resume when maybe just playing her game will be enough. But I didn't get to see any of the things Matthew was talking about either.
I think a smarter player could really utilize her to the point that like she can be somebody who's like, let's do something crazy. And then she'll be the thing that is the blind side. So it's going to be interesting to see if she gets caught out or if she gets to catch other people out. Because I think people are going to be expecting her, and I don't think she's going to expect them expecting her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited for Grace. She reminds me a lot of characters that I really like on the show in live reality games. I'm thinking like a Sophie kind of person, or like there's Scottish Survivors going on right now, and Audrey. Very quiet, very really a thinker and a strategic person. So they'll make some gameplays and she'll slit the throats, but she'll do it nicely. So I really was going to pick Grace next, so I was disappointed for her. I was like, oh, I'm saving this one.
I am curious if kind of Colin's demise in 2019 will weigh on her at all, because Colin was voted out in a blindside with an idol. Like, is that going to make her play harder, right? Like if she does get an idol, like play it right away, or like how will that affect her game? I'm really curious to see that. She's also our youngest contestant. So are people going to kind of kind of dismissed her because she's young. Are they going to try to kind of use her and manipulate her because they think she's young and kind of impressionable? I'm really excited, but I do think you're right, Dustyn, that she's super sharp, or whoever said she's really smart. As I was walking her to her confessional, she said, I recognize all of you from last season, but I don't want to like say your names. Like, I'm really worried people are going to like know that I know things. Like, she's thinking about everything she's saying and doing. From what I've seen, which is interesting. And I actually have seen her kind of be a more outspoken member of her group, even being the youngest. So I think there's something to watch here with Grace. I'm hoping that she doesn't kind of feel any pressure from watching her brother play and kind of what happened to him. And I hope she can play her own game and not worry too much about that, and not worry too much about being a character. Nicole, I think you're right. I think a lot of these people want to kind of come in and play a character and kind of, use this opportunity to kind of do something interesting. But sometimes that can mess you up more than it can help you.
Yep.
All right, we are on our final picks, people. So this by no means, don't think of it as being picked last for anything. You are kind of picked last for this, but we are rooting for everyone here. And we're really excited to have you at this event, participating in this community and having the experience. I know all of us have been there. We have all been through it. We're here still supporting this. And we just hope you have the best experience of all, like in general. Even if you are first boot, even if you get to the end, we just want you to have that amazing experience. Second boot, first boot, and whatever place you get.
What else is there?
Yeah.
Everything works.
All right, so from the bottom we have Matthew. Matthew, you were last, so you get the first pick out of the assortment here. So I believe we have Landon.
Yeah.
We also have Kelsey, right? Nobody picked Kelsey yet.
Jake M and Chris.
Nope, Katie and Chris.
No, yeah,
Katie.
Caitlin and yeah.
Okay.
Caitlin. Yeah. Caitlin and Chris.
And Chris. You know what? I'm going to go with Chris. I mean, chat went nuts when he was revealed as being part of the cast. And I remember that. I think it's just because he's such a big name. I think he's got a big target right away. And there's people who know him within this and have said that they don't want to work with him. And that's, disconcerting. But he has also been doing his, trying to get a couple people. Who did he said he had Caitlin and Grace in an initial alliance. And so where he goes with that, I mean, who's to say? I don't know how the game's going to shake out, who's going to end up on what tribe, if there's swaps and so forth. But I mean, he's done a lot in the community already.
Mm-hmm. We definitely talked about painting a target. He has a huge target already.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was really high on Chris until the interviews where he said, I don't know how I feel about these familiar faces. And so the good thing is he's aware of the spot he's in.
Mm-hmm.
That's step one.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I see Chris. I think he seems like a fun, kind of sweet guy. I think, it does seem like he has some past relationships that I think could come into play here. And I worry that the game is going to kind of overplay him in a way. Like, I just think maybe the game is going to swallow him up in some way. Like, I just don't. I see him struggling a little bit. But he seems like an interesting character. I'm hoping he can kind of find his footing a little bit more. I always root for kind of the skinny nerdy guys because that's who I was, right, growing up. And that kind of seems to be kind of where he's at. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because there seems like there's a story there, especially with kind of his history. But I do worry for him a little bit. I worry a little bit for you, Matthew. But I think who knows? I think hopefully he surprises us. I think there's definitely something there. He's obviously has some experience. Hopefully that his experience just doesn't come back to bite him.
I was going to say, I think he's acknowledging there's a lot of moving pieces, but when you're focused on 23 different things, sometimes you lose track of establishing really solid things that are right in front of you. And so if he gets too caught up on the previous relationships and stuff like that, and assuming that people are just going to be thinking the same way as he is, he might get lost and left behind.
Am I next or no? Because I need to run to the restroom.
I am next, so you are fine to
I'll be right
drop
back.
off for a moment. Yep, exactly. And at this point, I'm going to take Nicole's next pick, by the way. I already know this probably. So I've been going all night.
Gone yet.
My next pick, I am going to go with Kelsey. Kelsey seemed super nice. She made a comment that hopefully luck is on her side. And honestly, we know how these games go. You need a little bit of luck. Either you're in the right place at the right time, or you pick up a stick that leads you to the idol or something like that. Kelsey confessed, she's like, I didn't have anything prepared. She was very likable and very natural in front of the camera, even though she didn't know exactly what to say. But hopefully that likability and that naturalness will just relate to the in-person conversation she has with anybody on her tribe. And they just, they just go with it. I don't know about big gameplay or anything from Kelsey at the moment, but you never know.
She had like the country vibes, right?
A little bit,
definitely.
yeah.
She definitely has a bit of a country accent. Definitely like super sweet. Again, just like a really warm energy. Love kind of her vibe, her voice, like all of that. I think you're right. I'm not sure if we're gonna see a bunch of super savvy strategic moves out of her. But I think she's going to be fun to watch. I think she'll be a fun person to observe. And I hope she surprises us. I hope she pulls out some sort of crazy strategic thing. But she's kind of got that like good old country girl vibe about her, which is just, it's fun. It's a fun character to be in the mix.
Yeah, she said she wanted to have a great time. So that's what it's all about.
I do think she's going to play the game that Holly wanted to play. That's my guess.
I really liked her behind the scenes interview where she was like, do I look cute? Like she was just not taking it seriously, but taking it seriously kind of at the same time. Maybe she'll find Alex since they're both from Terre Haute. It's a very small town. They have to know people the same. She's a Hoosier, so I have to root for her. But I think she's there to have fun. I don't know if the strategy will be there. And I think intentionally, I don't think she wants to play that game.
Absolutely. All right, Nicole, bringing it home for us.
I'm gonna make someone that I'm playing an org with right now sad, because they're friends with Landon and they think he's great, but I just can't make that pick. Sorry. I'm gonna go with Caitlin. I had Katie wrote down, but I guess you had Caitlin, so. Same person, right? The therapist from Boston. Okay, maybe I wrote it wrong. Again, she's been on my list of picks this whole time because she specifically said I can tap into people's emotions.
I think you got the wrong person here. This is Caitlin. Katie was picked a long time ago.
Oh, then I marked the wrong person. Let me go see who Caitlin is. Oh, she's way up here. Okay, I like her as well then.
I was going to say you can give it to me. She was my next pick.
No, I'm still not picking Landon. But I actually would have picked Caitlin a long time ago if I knew she was green, which was like my top tier picks. I really liked her attitude, especially when she was talking about losing her job to COVID. She had a really good attitude about it. But I said this earlier when I thought that she was picked, that she said, I will never overestimate myself, and I'm never going to underestimate other people. And I really think that's key. I said that back when someone picked Katie then, and I marked her down. I was saying I was mad someone picked her because that was my next pick. I'm sorry, Caitlin. I would have picked you a long time ago. I think that's a really key in these games is to go in and look at things the way they are, not the way you think they are. Yeah. And so if she truly can go in and not overestimate herself and truly look at other people's skills, I really think she can go deep in this game. I really have high hopes for Caitlin. I'm super stoked she's on my team now. Unless there was something behind the scenes that I missed is why you guys didn't pick her, but I thought she was picked a long time ago.
Well, she was also somebody that Benji mentioned he knew, and that out of the people he knew, he did like her. Now, I know Caitlin personally, but I knew her before she got involved with the org world, so I don't know what she's like as a player. I do know that she's a huge fan, and if I'm correct, she had a Survivor-themed bridal party, it was something her friends put together. She's a big fan of the game. So I'm really unsure of how she's going to maneuver through this game just because I'm not familiar with her former relationships or what she's done. But I do know that she's a huge fan, as they all are.
I'm so excited. I have her and Benji, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I know. I don't know who I even picked at this point.
There'll be a nice little picture document that comes up a little bit tomorrow, kind of rehashing all of our picks and discussions here tonight.
Yeah, I think also Caitlin being a flight attendant is going to really work in her favor, right? She's used to dealing with crazy people, weird situations, having to be friendly all the time, but also being firm and kind of knowing what her job is and what her role is and kind of how to get it done. So I'm excited. I think she's a lot more gamey than she's coming off. I think I am interested in the Benji Caitlin connection because I heard rumor like he's voted her out 3 times or something like that. I don't remember exactly what I heard, so don't take that to the bank. But there's definitely a connection there. There's something there that I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I just think there's more game to her than we've already seen and that we will see. I think she's a lot more gamey than we'd expect. So I'm excited to watch her play. I think. I don't know if you all noticed, but there's definitely like a big glasses girl thing happening that there's like, it's kind of hard to tell them apart, but I think Caitlin to me in that group like stands out as someone that I'm just really excited to see.
Well, very cool. Last on our list, Djon, you can do the honors.
All right.
What is that job there, Dustyn? Publicky.
So he was the last person in the original videos. And the first person that I said, he's going to win, which is really funny that I went, he's going to win, because he just has that like Fabio vibe. He's got that long-haired Joe, and just the long-haired dudes theme of the Survivor contestants that we see all the time. And I shouldn't say, he's going to win, because he's, just as deserving if he can get there and make it happen. But the thing is, he ended up in a group of people that I instantly went, these are not your people. You're going to get eaten alive by these people. So if they get switched up, that's going to be to his benefit. That's what I think. I think he's with a lot of strong women that are not going to necessarily say that they need him. If anything, they're going to see him as a threat and want to take him out. So I think he needs to kind of like pair up with the people that are going to benefit his game. But yeah, I think he can. Even when he was talking to the crew, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm out here getting eaten alive. No bug spray yet. What's with that?" Like, he's very funny. He's very charismatic, and he had the crew laughing, which makes me think that he's gonna have like the same appeal with the people that he's working with.
This is someone else reached out when they saw I was doing this to say, my good friend is playing this game. And I was very excited watching the cast reveal, waiting for him, and he was last. This person says he's going to be a much bigger social threat. He has a lot of command when he's in a group. Also, I can't share too much details, but I do know that he has been in the mix in an alternate for a show at some point. So I think he does have experience with the behind the scenes and working with production and things like that. So I think that could work to his benefit. But as a member of production, if you've picked up something and you're like, is this something? Is this white thing something? Don't ask production that, because we tell you the rules, we're not going to combine it. And like, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Like, it's going to look like something. Like,
yeah,
you're going to know. I tell people, like, if you see something, you're going to know that it's something. Like, it's not going to be a styrofoam cup or what. I don't know what he had, but you're gonna know you got something. So I'm a little worried about the boy, but I'm glad he's playing hard, and I'm here for it. I want to see all the chaos that he can bring.
Yeah, Landon decided to bring this white ring that was basically a piece of trash he found in the woods, and like he asked if he could like put it over the bottle and like make the bottle come to life. He asked us if it was an idol. Like I was like, dude, you've seen the show. Like if it was an idol, there'd be a note with it. There'd be something to indicate it was an idol. Like, come on. But I love that he's trying. He's throwing it all out there, right? Like he's trying things. He's grabbing things. Like I think he's bold enough to make some of those moves, and like maybe he'll get lucky, and one of those things will stick. I think what's interesting about this cast is I don't see any of them being like a super physical threat. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but none of them seem like athletes. And like Landon like pulled off his shirt, and you could see that he is like one of the more athletic people physically that you just visually see. And I think that could be to his detriment that actually he even took off his shirt, because even that, just like in seeing that he's kind of a well-built guy, it draws attention to you as a physical threat. And so, in a cast where a lot of these people seem a little bit more kind of, mid-tier athleticism, someone that stands out as an athlete, I think could easily kind of take that kind of physical threat role pretty quickly, because you're looking for any excuse to be like, wow, he is strong. Like, let's make sure we get him out. So I worry for him in that regard, because he's young, he's athletic. He does seem like he's got charisma on his side as well. He'll be a social personality. And so, I think he's got a lot of the qualities. So I can see why Djon would say like, oh, he could win. But I think everyone's going to see it. I think it's more obvious to everyone. So, maybe he can find ways to mask it or kind of lower that threat level. But I think from what I've already seen, he's playing really hard and finding trash, and he's already kind of put himself out there as a more physical player. So if people start seeing that social side, I think he could be in trouble. I think I could see him being kind of like right before merge, let's get rid of a big threat, or even right at merge, trying to make sure he doesn't get further and kind of go on a run.
Well, and idols in Survival Challenge look like that. At least they used to. I don't know if they still do.
Is that the one that you walked out with in your pocket, Matthew?
Well, actually, it was in Trizian's pocket, then ended up back with me. It was sweet of them to let me keep it. But it came with a note. So, and I have that natural inclination that there will be a note attached.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And someone that's on the lower tier of the physical players, there's no offense taken. I'm sure.
And me too. If anybody watched Reelfoot, I couldn't do anything. So I am one of those lower tiered physical players for sure. And it's just the people that you see that are physically built well, like they stand out as threats right away. So I worry for him a little in that regard. I hope he can kind of find a way to navigate around that. But I feel like this cast is, there weren't a ton of obvious challenge sets. I unfortunately couldn't watch all the swimming and all the running, but it didn't seem like anyone stood out. I was like, wow, that guy is super fast, or super athletic. So I think anywhere where you show some of that strength could be trouble.
And just as a recap, here is how the cast assessment went. My team is Jake, M, Morgan, Holly, Mandy, Jamie, and Kelsey. Djon, who do you have on your team?
I have Stephanie, Christina, Pat, Devin, Stu, and Landon.
Matthew.
All right. I've got Joe, Katie, Madison, Alex, Grace, and Chris.
Nicole.
And I've got Jake Sparks, Tiffany, Megan, Benji, Kevin, and Caitlin.
Super excited to see how this cast goes forward, especially with the challenges. Like, I don't think there's like one true winner. I think everyone has a gameplay to get there, and we're excited to see everyone make it as far as they do. And as a lot of the comments said earlier, this game is going to get messy at some point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it.
Speaking of looking forward to it, live feeds go back up tomorrow. So head on over to Survival Challenge on Facebook. Follow Sam and follow Kirk as they lead us through everything they can do. Dustyn will be on site helping them out. Matthew and I will be helping out behind the scenes, trying to cover what messages, comments, or statistics that needs to be taken down. Djon, thank you for joining from your past experience from Survival Challenge, being all the way from Hawaii. And Nicole from Ascendance Live and all the other live games that you have done. Thank you for being here, for your expertise. Let's check back in at the end of the show and see how things go. Best of luck to everyone.
And Dustyn, don't forget there is the Facebook live chat where there's actually people keeping track of everything that happens in the game via Google Docs. So definitely join that, and you can stay up to date on anything that's going on if you can't watch physically on here. But
yeah, and it's super helpful with the 2 live streams too. So we're able to watch both at the same time. People fill each other in, how things are going. So very nice.
And how do we find that?
I add to the chat.
Excellent.
One of my many duties here. So comment below on the video, tag me, and we'll get you added to that. But for the time being, thanks again for watching. Thanks for your comments, for the shout outs that you've done for your friends and family. Best of luck to all of them, and best of luck to all of us and our team. So till then.